My name is Paisley Irwin. 6 months ago, I left a career that shaped me for 20 years. My sister labeled it career suicide. Colleagues murmured about burnout. But when my mom got 3 months to live, job titles lost all meaning. I never expected my sister to use my choice to shame me in front of 200 wedding guests, including my son's CEO. She didn't know her boss was also mine, and he'd been trying to rehire me for months. When she grabbed the microphone and called me an unemployed loser, she thought she was impressing the room's most powerful man. She had no clue he knew exactly who I was and what I was worth. If you're watching, hit subscribe and tell me where you're from. What happened next didn't just reshape my career, it flipped everything I believed about family, success, and staying silent. Let's rewind to where it began. 6 months before Jake's wedding, I sat in my corner office, staring at my resignation letter. Manhattan sprawled outside, a view earned through 60-hour weeks and missed family dinners. My assistant knocked, another Samsung campaign crisis. Normally, I'd dive in. But that morning, a call changed everything. Stage 4, the oncologist said about Mom's diagnosis. Months, not years. I resigned that afternoon. For 20 years, I built a name as a top tech marketing director, handling $50 million budgets yearly. My campaigns delivered 300% ROI for 5 straight years. Those stats opened doors, earned respect, and drew offers from every big firm in the city. But they meant nothing when Mom couldn't recall my name some mornings. Sandra, my younger sister, reacted fast and predictably. She always compared herself to me, tracking some rivalry I didn't sign up for. When she heard I quit, her smugness was obvious. "You're done?" she asked at Mom's house that first week. "All those years climbing and you're tossing it to play nurse?" I was changing Mom's forebag, a skill I picked up from YouTube and a kind home care nurse. "It's called family, Sandra." "It's called quitting," she snapped, flaunting her new Hermes bag, a gift for her promotion to HR director at a tech firm. Not everyone can handle corporate life forever. It hurt, but I let it slide. Sandra visited Mom once a week, usually during lunch, snapping a quick selfie for Instagram. "Family first," she captioned before dashing back to her big meetings. Soon whispers spread. Old colleagues texted, checking if I was okay, their concern masking curiosity about my breakdown. LinkedIn contacts noticed I'd gone quiet. Industry friends stopped inviting me out like my choice was contagious. But every night when Mom gripped my hand and whispered, "Thank you for being here," I knew I was right even if I'd faded from the world I once ruled. As Jake's wedding neared, Sandra's attacks grew bolder. Every family event was her stage to flaunt my unemployed status and polish her own shine. "Paisley's taking a break from reality," she'd say at Easter dinner, patting my shoulder like I was a child. Some people aren't built for the long game. Meanwhile, I'm now senior HR director, handpicked by our CEO. She didn't just say it, she blasted it on Facebook and LinkedIn with jabs like, "Success is a choice. Some pick careers, others not. Hashtag girlboss, hashtag never settle, hashtag corporate life." Relatives started treating me differently. Uncle Robert, who once sought my business advice, now turned to Sandra. Aunt Patricia slipped job listings my way at Sunday dinners. "Just in case you want back in," she'd whisper, like unemployment was a secret shame. A week before the wedding, I was at Mom's bedside when Jake dropped by after work. My son got my strategic brain and his dad's big heart, making him great at reading people. "Sandra's talking about you at work," he said cautiously, adjusting Mom's pillows. "Your office?" I kept my tone even. Jake was a software engineer at TechVision Corp, where Sandra worked in HR. "She doesn't know we're in the same building, different departments." He paused, picking his words. "Mom, she's saying you had a breakdown, that you couldn't handle the pressure." I checked Mom's meds, staying calm. "Let her talk." "It's not fair," Jake pushed. "You gave up everything for Grandma." "That's stronger than any job." His voice held the same fierce loyalty he'd had since he was 5, defending me from any critic. On that note, he added, perking up, my new boss, David Chen, is coming to the wedding. He asked about you, seemed curious about your background. I think he's heard of you. I smiled at his effort to lift my spirits. That's sweet, honey. If only I'd known David Chen didn't just know my name. Some truths wait for the perfect moment. On Jake's wedding day, I stood in my old bedroom at Mom's, holding her pearl necklace from her own wedding. She was having a good day, clear, present, even eating solid food. But those moments were rare. You look beautiful, sweetheart, she said from her wheelchair, her voice stronger than it had been. Don't let Sandra get to you today. She's always been insecure. I know, Mom. I clasped the pearls, thinking of what I risked if Sandra's story went unchallenged. 20 years of reputation could vanish. The respect I'd earned from hundreds of professionals at the wedding, former clients, industry leaders, 3 CEOs Jake invited, would hear Sandra's tale. Paisley Irwin, ex-marketing director, now a nobody who cracked and quit. Worse, it could hurt Jake. Office politics are tough enough without coworkers thinking his mom's unstable. He'd just started at TechVision, eager to prove himself. Sandra's venom in his workplace was the last thing he needed. My phone pinged with LinkedIn alerts I'd ignored for months. One stood out, a connection update from an account I thought I'd closed. Odd. Clicking through, I saw recent activity I didn't create. Someone had been studying my achievements, downloading my portfolio, digging into my career. Paisley, Mom's voice snapped me back. Whatever happens today, remember what I taught you about quiet strength. The best response isn't always the loudest. I kissed her forehead, promising to record everything for her. Too frail to attend, she made me swear to stand tall, smile wide, and know my worth wasn't in titles. The venue was a 40-minute drive, a grand Long Island mansion Emily's parents insisted on. As I drove, I weighed my options. Confront Sandra privately? She'd deny it all. Ignore her? That'd cement her lies. Or wait for the right moment to set things straight. I didn't know that moment would arrive with 200 witnesses and a microphone that changed everything. Cocktail hour was buzzing when I spotted him. David Chen stood by the bar, his sharp gaze scanning the crowd just like I remembered from our video calls 5 years back. He was VP of operations at a struggling startup then, and I turned their marketing mess around in 6 months, leading to TechVision's $200 million buyout. He caught my eye and gave a knowing smile, not polite but loaded like he held a winning hand. Sandra appeared, grabbing my arm with her polished nails. Come on, you need to meet some people. Jake's coworkers are eager to see his family. She dragged me to a group of young professionals sipping drinks, their eyes sizing everyone up for career connections. This is Jake's mom, Sandra said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. I used to be in marketing, but I'm on a break now. What company? A young woman with a TechVision badge asked. Before I could speak, Sandra cut in. She's between jobs. You know, some folks step back when it gets too tough. Not everyone's cut out for the corporate grind. I kept my face calm, but noticed David edging closer, pretending to admire a photo display while stealing glances our way. My phone buzzed, a LinkedIn message from an unknown sender. Check your email, DC. My pulse jumped. The email from last week was a TechVision offer, Senior VP of Marketing Strategy, $300,000 base plus bonuses. I turned it down, citing family. David's reply was kind but firm. The offer's open when you're ready, Paisley. Sandra's voice sliced through. Jennifer asked what you're up to now. I glanced at the eager faces, then at David, now closer. Things were clicking, but not yet in place. I'm focusing on what matters, I said simply. Sandra's laugh was sharp like shattered glass. That's code for unemployed. Then it hit me. Sandra didn't know her CEO was 10 feet away. Families ever put you down when they should have had your back? Hit that like button and share in the comments. Ever faced a career versus family choice? What did you pick? I chose mom, and I'd do it again. But what happened next showed me you don't always have to choose. Subscribe and hit the bell, you won't want to miss this. The reception's about to get wild. Sandra's voice grew louder, drawing a bigger crowd. She loved the spotlight, thinking she owned it. "This is my sister," she told each newcomer, her hand heavy on my shoulder. She was big in marketing once, but some people burn out early. Jake appeared, Emily radiant in her wedding dress beside him. His jaw was tight, eyes blazing. Emily's gentle touch on his arm calmed him. "What kind of marketing?" A Fortune 500 exec I recognized asked. "Nothing special," Sandra answered for me. "Some campaigns, paperwork. Now she's, what's it called, Mel? Exploring options." Her laugh grated me. "That's just unemployed in fancy terms." "Actually," I began, but she cut me off. "She's here for family now, even if it meant throwing away her career. Not everyone's built for the long haul. Someone's gotta be the warning story, right?" Crowd squirmed. Some left, but others leaned in, smelling drama. A guy was filming on his phone, perfect for social media. David was now right behind Sandra, unnoticed by her, lost in her show. "I've been promoted 3 times in 2 years, she bragged, adjusting her designer dress. "Last month, our CEO picked me for a special project. David Chen himself said I'm TechVision's future." I nearly laughed. David's eyebrows twitched upward. "Not everyone can handle that pressure," Sandra said, patting my arm like I was a kid. "When I quit, resigned for personal reasons, I knew I'd never work again. Who hires someone who ditches a 20-year career? Career suicide." "Sandra." Jake's voice was a sharp warning. "What?" "I'm just honest. Mom knows I love her, but facts are facts. She's unemployable." Then David pulled out his phone, typing fast. Sandra's phone buzzed, but she ignored it, basking in her moment. Everything was lining up. "The saddest part?" Sandra said, sounding like a TED Talk on failure. "She ditched a $50 million budget to play nurse. Any aide could do that. But only I could have done what I did in marketing. Such a waste." Crowd, now 30 strong with Jake's TechVision colleagues, looked uneasy but hooked, like gawkers at a crash. "Enough, Aunt Sandra," Jake said firmly, stepping forward. "Oh, honey, I'm helping your mom face reality. Denial's not healthy." Sandra turned to me, her eyes gleaming with victory. "Tell them, Mel. Tell them you haven't touched LinkedIn in 6 months, ignored recruiters, given up." My phone buzzed, another message from DC. "Want me to step in, or you got this?" I replied fast. "Let her keep digging." "The truth," Sandra declared, gesturing wildly, "is my sister's a lesson in women who can't balance work and life." She cracked under pressure. Now, at her son's wedding, she's just another unemployed middle-aged woman clinging to relevance. That's when David started walking over. Sandra, clueless, kept going. "Unlike some, I never let family drag down my career. That's why David Chen, our CEO, mentors me. He says I'm like him at my age, focused, driven, not sidetracked by dying parents." David's voice was calm, almost casual. Sandra spun, her face flashing surprise, joy, then panic as she realized he'd heard it all. "Mr. Chen, you're here." "Perfect. I was just talking about you. This is my sister, the unemployed one I mentioned." David's smile was cold. "I heard your introduction. Quite detailed." Sandra grinned, missing the edge in his tone. "You value honesty, right? I just wanted everyone to know the real story, no sugarcoating." "Honesty matters to me," David said, pulling out his phone again. "And now's the perfect time for some truth." Crowd leaned in. Jake's hand squeezed mine, warm and steady. The moment I'd been waiting for had arrived. David Chen stood calm, his presence silencing the room. Even the band seemed to hush, sensing the shift. "Before we go on," he said, his voice firm like he was closing a billion-dollar deal, "I've been trying to reach Paisley for weeks." Sandra's smile faltered. "Reach her?" Why? Last month, I offered her Senior VP of Marketing Strategy at TechVision. $300,000 base plus bonuses. He paused, letting it hit. She said no. Crowd gasped. Sandra's jaw dropped, her words stumbling. That's impossible. She's jobless. She quit. She's been out for 6 months. She left to care for her dying mother, David snapped, his tone cutting. That's not quitting, it's choosing what matters. He faced the crowd, voice clear. 5 years ago, I saved David's company from collapse. I turned their marketing mess into a machine with 300% ROI for 5 years straight. Sandra's face drained of color. But she's not working. Because I turned down multiple offers, including his, David cut in. Last week, I rejected 3 Fortune 500 companies. He flashed his phone. Emails right here, Goldman Sachs, Microsoft, TechVision, all passed up to focus on my mom's final days. The room went silent. Phones were out, recording. That's not even the best part, David said, locking eyes with Sandra. Know why I'm here, Ms. Morrison? Sandra shook her head, speechless. Jake Irwin, your nephew, is one of our top engineers. He mentioned his mom's work, and I knew her name instantly. Paisley Irwin's a legend. Her campaigns are studied in business schools. He paused, letting it sink in. So imagine my shock when my HR director, calls her sister a failure. Sandra's hand shook. Mr. Chen, I didn't know. I was just breaking our company's code of conduct on respect. Trap was set, and Sandra had walked right in. Her smugness crumbled before everyone she tried to impress. It's a misunderstanding, she said, voice high. I didn't know about any offers. Paisley never told me. Why would I? David shot back. For 6 months, you've called her a failure. You posted online about choosing career over family, using her sacrifice to boost yourself. He scrolled his phone. Here's your Facebook post from Tuesday. Some choose success, others excuses. Grateful for a CEO who values ambition. Hashtag TechVision proud, hashtag career first. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Jake's TechVision coworkers swapped looks, they'd seen her posts. That wasn't about Paisley, Sandra stammered. Really? Your cousin asked if it was her, and you replied with a laughing emoji. My phone buzzed. Jennifer Liu, the woman who'd asked about my work. Your sister's been trashing you at the office for months. We knew something was wrong. David's been investigating. Clicked, this wasn't just tonight. David had a plan. Here's what happens next, David said, his tone like a boardroom showdown. Ms. Morrison, step away from this reception. Think hard about how your actions reflect on TechVision's values. You can't threaten me at a family wedding, Sandra pleaded. No threats, just enforcing our handbook, which you manage. It says off-hours conduct that harms the company's reputation is grounds for review. The wedding coordinator appeared. Everything okay? Just settling family matters, David said smoothly. Can you grab a microphone? I'd like to toast the couple. Sandra looked ready to collapse. Crowd parted as the coordinator returned with a mic. David took it, his smile cold. It's time everyone knew who Paisley Irwin really is. The mic screeched, grabbing all 200 guests' attention. The dance floor emptied as people sensed something big. Good evening, David's voice boomed. I'm David Chen, CEO of TechVision, honored to celebrate Jake and Emily. Polite claps followed. Sandra stood frozen beside me, pale as ash. But I need to address something I just saw about values, family, and real success. He faced me. 6 months ago, I left a top marketing career. Not because I failed or couldn't handle it, but because my mom needed me. Glasses clinked as the room stilled. I managed $50 million budgets yearly. My campaigns hit 300% ROI for 5 years. I built the strategy that sold David's last company for $200 million. Gasps filled the ballroom. Jake's coworkers stared, recognizing me. The Fortune 500 exec nodded, connecting dots. Last week, David went on, I offered her $300,000 to join TechVision. She said no, not because she's unemployable, as her sister told 30 people, but because she's caring for her dying mother. Sandra whimpered. Please, Mr. Chen, he raised a hand, silencing her. Ms. Morrison, you called your sister an unemployed loser, a cautionary tale, career suicide. Crowd turned to Sandra. Someone whispered, her own sister? You did this as a TechVision leader, David said. You claimed I mentor you, I don't. Emily's parents looked stunned. Jake's groomsmen filmed. The photographer snapped the drama. Let me make this clear, David said, his voice heavy with authority. I'm not unemployed. I'm not a failure. I chose family over fame, love over money, and that's worth more than any job title. He wasn't finished. But Sandra Morrison, he continued, mic amplifying every word, your actions go against everything TechVision stands for. Shaming a sister caring for her dying mom shows no empathy. That's not HR leadership. Sandra's legs wobbled. She grabbed a chair. You can't do this. Not here at my nephew's wedding. You picked the stage when you humiliated her, David shot back. I'm just setting the record straight. He faced the crowd. I represent true leadership, knowing success isn't just money or titles, but the lives we impact and choices we make in private. Please, Mr. Chen, Sandra's voice broke. I didn't mean, every word was intentional, David cut in. TechVision employees say you've pushed this story for months, creating a toxic environment for anyone needing family leave. You see caregiving as weakness. He held up his phone. Here's your termination letter. Effective now. Security will meet you Monday to clear your desk. Whispers swept the crowd. Sandra's face crumpled, tears falling, not from regret but from being exposed, losing the status she flaunted. This is illegal, she screamed. You can't fire me for personal talk. It's for violating our code of conduct, fostering a hostile workplace, and lying about my mentorship. Targeting someone I've been recruiting was just bad judgment. Jake stepped up, voice steady. Aunt Sandra, it's time to go. You planned this, she hissed at me, frantic. You knew he'd be here. I spoke calmly, with the confidence of countless boardrooms. I didn't plan a thing, Sandra. Your words wrote this ending, one jab at a time. David handed the mic back to the coordinator. Let's get back to celebrating, he said, then smiled at me warmly. Paisley, my offer is still open. But I bet you've got bigger plans. He was right. I did. Can you believe Sandra pulled this at Jake's wedding? Stick around, you're about to see an epic career comeback. Quick question, what would you do here? Take the job or do what I did? Drop your thoughts in the comments. For more stories on professional karma and facing family bullies, hit subscribe. The silence after David's offer was thick. 200 guests held their breath, watching. Sandra stood frozen, mascara streaking, her designer dress looking like a bad costume. Before you leave, Sandra, David said, tone firm, give Jake your company phone and laptop. He'll get them to IT Monday. This is a nightmare, she muttered, hands shaking as she pulled out her TechVision-cased iPhone. Jake took it silently. 2 suited security guards appeared at the ballroom door, not moving closer but making their point. Sandra saw them, and her shoulders slumped. 20 years, she said to me, voice cracked. I've lived in your shadow. Even when you quit, everyone still praised the great Paisley Irwin. That was your burden, I said softly. Not mine to fix by failing. David cleared his throat, drawing every eye. Let me introduce Paisley Irwin properly. She's not just a marketing star. She saved my company when it was bleeding cash, turning it into a $200 million acquisition target. A Fortune 500 exec stepped forward. Paisley? From the Samsung deal? I've been trying to hire you forever. The room shifted. People rushed toward me, not Sandra, who security quietly let out. Business cards flew. Offers came fast. Lead our global marketing. We need you for our Asia launch. Name your price. David raised a hand, silencing them. I've offered her $300,000, full benefits, unlimited family leave. I'll double it, someone shouted. Triple, another added. Jake beamed from ear to ear, his arm wrapped protectively around Emily, who gripped him tightly, her eyes shimmering with tears. Happy ones, the kind that come from pure, unfiltered joy. The wedding venue, a sprawling estate on Long Island's North Shore, was bathed in the golden hues of a late October sunset. Twinkling fairy lights draped over ancient oak trees, and the air carried the faint scent of autumn leaves mixed with the salty breeze from the nearby sound. What had started as a simple toast had transformed into something far more profound, a stage for my vindication. And strangely, Jake and Emily seemed to love every second of it. They weren't upset, they were exhilarated, as if this unexpected twist had elevated their special day into legend territory. David, TechVision's charismatic CEO, stood nearby, his grin wide and knowing like a chess master appreciating a brilliant move. He'd been the one to initiate this cascade of revelations, exposing my sister Sandra's deceit in front of 200 guests, friends, family, colleagues, and a smattering of industry heavyweights. But I suspect you've got bigger plans than just working for us, he said, his voice carrying a mix of admiration and curiosity. He was right, of course. David had always been perceptive, the kind of leader who could read a room and spot talent from a mile away. In his tailored tuxedo, with silver streaks in his hair catching the light, he looked every bit the Fortune 500 executive he was. I paused for a moment, letting the anticipation build. Crowd, a sea of elegant dresses and sharp suits, leaned in closer, their champagne flutes forgotten in their hands. Whispers rippled through the room like a gentle wave. I pulled out my phone, opening an email I'd drafted that very morning while sitting by Mom's bedside, her soft breathing a reminder of why I was doing all this. Mr. Chen, I read aloud, my voice steady and clear, projecting across the grand ballroom with its crystal chandeliers and polished marble floors. I've been thinking. After 20 years of building other people's companies, it's time for me to build my own. A collective gasp escaped the audience, followed by murmurs of excitement. Eyes widened, and a few people exchanged glances as if trying to process this bombshell. I continued, my words flowing with the confidence born from months of quiet planning. Next month, I'm launching Irwin Strategic Consulting. It'll be a boutique firm, selective with clients, focused on those that truly value people as much as performance. No more corporate giants that chew up talent and spit it out. We're talking about businesses ready to invest in their teams, to create cultures where success means more than just the bottom line. David's smile warmed, shifting from professional politeness to something genuine, almost paternal. He raised his glass slightly, a subtle nod of approval. Of course you are, he said, his tone laced with respect. But you'll need big clients to kick things off, ones who trust your skills implicitly. I met his gaze, unflinching, the weight of the moment settling over me like a comforting cloak. This was it, the pivot I'd been waiting for. I'm choosy too, I replied, my voice firm but warm. I only work with companies that understand success isn't just about profit margins. It's about sustainability, about fostering environments where employees can thrive without sacrificing their lives. David's eyes sparkled with amusement and agreement. Then TechVision is your first client, he declared boldly, his voice booming across the room. $2 million contract, renewable yearly. We need a complete marketing overhaul, especially our culture messaging. The announcement hit like a thunderclap. A champagne glass slipped from someone's hand, shattering on the floor with a sharp crack that echoed in the stunned silence. Shards sparkled under the lights, but no one moved to clean it up. All eyes were fixed on us. Particularly, David added, his tone sharpening with resolve, our HR and internal communications. We've got some toxicity to root out, and it's time we addressed it head on. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Sandra, my own sister, had been the head of HR at TechVision, the very department now slated for a dramatic reshape under my guidance. The woman who'd publicly branded me as jobless and unemployable would see her empire dismantled by the sibling she'd dismissed so cruelly. Crowd erupted into a mix of applause and whispers. I could feel the energy shift, like a storm breaking into sunlight. "That's incredibly generous," I said cautiously, not wanting to seem too eager, even though my heart raced with exhilaration. "But I have some terms." David laughed, a deep, genuine chuckle that cut through the tension. "Naturally. Lay them out." I ticked them off, each one a non-negotiable born from years of corporate burnout and recent personal revelations. "First, I work remotely. My mom needs me close by, and I won't compromise on that. Second, I handpick my team with no meddling from above. And third, I want it in writing. Caregiving responsibilities will never hinder an employee's career progression. No penalties, no biases, just support." "Done, done, and done," David responded without hesitation, already pulling out his phone. "I'll have legal drafted up tonight. Expect it in your inbox by dawn." Before I could even process that, the momentum snowballed. A tall, distinguished man in his 50s, whom I recognized as the CEO of a Fortune 500 conglomerate, stepped forward from the crowd. His name was Marcus Hale, head of Morrison Industries, and his presence alone commanded respect. "If you're open to more clients," he said, his voice gravelly from years of boardroom battles, "Morrison Industries is in. $3 million retainer, same terms as TechVision." Not to be outdone, another voice shouted from the back. A sharp-dressed woman representing Jacobson Tech, $2.5 million. "We've been needing someone like you for our rebranding." And then, like a bidding war at an auction, a third chimed in. "Wellington Partners, $4 million. Let's talk details post-toast." In the span of 5 electrifying minutes, I had verbal commitments totaling $12 million. My phone, set to record discreetly, captured every name, every company, every figure, insurance against any cold feet later. The transformation was surreal, from being labeled unemployed in a humiliating wedding speech to becoming an 8-figure founder during what was supposed to be a simple toast. Jake rushed over, his tux slightly rumpled from the excitement, enveloping me in a bear hug that smelled of his cologne and the fresh flowers from Emily's bouquet. "Mom, this is unreal," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "It's your day, sweetheart," I whispered back, pulling him closer. "I'm sorry it got hijacked like this." Emily joined us, her white gown flowing like a dream, her veil slightly askew from all the hugging. "Hijacked? Are you kidding? This wedding's now legendary. People will be talking about this forever. Remember that Irwin wedding where the mom launched a multi-million-dollar company mid-toast? It's epic." She was absolutely right. The photographer, a young professional with a keen eye, was snapping away furiously, capturing every handshake, every raised glass. The videographer, who'd been focused on the dance floor earlier, had abandoned his post to zoom in on this impromptu business revolution. By morning, I knew the business world would be abuzz. LinkedIn would light up, emails would flood in, and perhaps even a few headlines would emerge. "Woman turns family humiliation into multi-million launch at son's wedding." David, ever the showman, raised a fresh champagne glass, the bubbles catching the light like tiny stars. "One last thing," he announced, drawing the crowd's attention back. "A real toast now to Jake and Emily. May your marriage be as resilient and inspiring as your mother's strength." And to Paisley Irwin, who reminds us all that the biggest risk in life is playing it small, and that true strength comes from knowing what truly matters most. 200 glasses lifted in unison, the clinking a symphony of celebration. To Jake and Emily. To Paisley. As I sipped the crisp champagne, its bubbles dancing on my tongue, I pictured Mom back home, watching from her bed via the discreet live stream Jake had set up for her. Her frail form, surrounded by pillows and the steady beep of monitors, but her eyes, those sharp, wise eyes, would be gleaming with pride. She'd always preached about quiet strength, about how revenge isn't always a loud explosion but sometimes a steady, unstoppable win. The reception reshaped around this new truth, the energy electric yet grounded. Sandra's empty seat at the family table loomed like a silent accusation, her place setting cleared away by the ever-professional coordinator as if she'd never been there. But oh, something massive had happened indeed, a seismic shift in power and perception and possibility. Within the hour, amid the swirling skirts on the dance floor and the laughter echoing off the walls, I found myself signing 3 makeshift contracts on cocktail napkins. Emily's uncle, a seasoned corporate lawyer with a no-nonsense demeanor, assured me they were legally binding under the circumstances. Intent is clear, signatures are here, it'll hold until formal docs, he said, his pen flying across the paper. David's assistant, a efficient young woman named Clara, even drove over from the city with official TechVision letterhead, turning the wedding's coat check into an impromptu office. By the time the cake was cut, a towering confection of vanilla and raspberry layers adorned with edible gold, the deals were sealed. Irwin's Strategic Consulting had 3 clients locked in with $6 million in upfront commitments. The sweet, tangy bite of cake on my fork tasted like victory, shared with Jake and Emily as we posed for photos, their faces glowing under the flash. As the evening progressed, Jennifer Liu, one of TechVision's mid-level managers, approached me hesitantly. She was in her early 30s, with sharp features and a quiet intelligence that had always impressed me during my brief interactions at company events. "Mrs. Irwin," she began, twisting her napkin in her hands, "I'm so sorry we didn't speak up earlier when Sandra was, well, when she said those things." I placed a gentle hand on her arm, my voice kind but firm. "You didn't know the full story." "No one did." "We suspected," she admitted, her eyes dropping to the floor before meeting mine again. "She's been toxic at work for years, slamming everyone, especially working moms. Last month, she disciplined a colleague for leaving early to pick up her sick kid from school, even though the woman had worked through lunch to make up the time. It was heartless." Another TechVision employee, a young man named Alex with an earnest face, chimed in from nearby. "Yeah, and she denied my dad's bereavement leave when his mom, my grandma, passed away. Said it wasn't immediate family. But get this, Sandra took a full week off for her dog's surgery. Called it essential personal time." The stories poured out then, a dam breaking. Sandra's pattern emerged clear as day. She wielded her power like a weapon, targeting anyone whose life choices mirrored her own insecurities, family obligations, vulnerabilities, anything that didn't fit her rigid profit-over-people worldview. It was as if she punished others for the very things she feared in herself. "That stops now," David interjected, joining our small circle with a determined stride. His presence commanded attention, and the group straightened instinctively. "Paisley, your contract with us includes a full overhaul of our HR policies. Make them human again, compassionate, supportive." I nodded, my mind already racing with ideas. Mandatory training on empathy, anonymous feedback channels, policies that prioritized mental health and family. "Family first isn't just a catchy phrase," I said. "It's going to be embedded in every policy, every decision." Jake, ever the thoughtful son, handed me his phone just then. "Grandma's on FaceTime, Mom." Mom's face appeared on the screen, tired lines etched deeper from her illness, but her smile was radiant, lighting up the dim hospital room behind her. "Sweetheart, I watched the whole thing on the live stream," she said, her voice weak but steady. "I'm so proud of you." "Mom," my throat tightened, emotions surging. "No tears," she cut in firmly, her eyes fierce even through the screen. "This is a celebration. You stood tall without stooping to crush anyone. That's my girl, Grace under fire." The wedding continued its joyful rhythm, the band playing upbeat classics, guests twirling on the dance floor, Jake and Emily radiating happiness as they shared their first dance. But in our quiet corner, amid the stacking business cards and buzzing LinkedIn notifications, a new chapter was unfolding. By midnight, Irwin Strategic was trending on business Twitter, now X, hashtags like #wedding-launch and #PaisleyPower gaining traction. David pulled me aside for a private word. Sandra might try to spin this, he warned quietly, his expression serious. Wrongful termination, discrimination claims, something to save face. Let her try, I replied, my resolve steel-like. We have 200 witnesses, video evidence, and the truth on our side. I'm done giving her space in my story. She's out of it now, and I meant every word. Sandra had chosen her path of bitterness and sabotage. I was forging mine with purpose and light. Back at the head table, between toasts and laughter, I continued signing contracts. Emily's dad, the lawyer, tweaked agreements on his tablet, his fingers flying across the screen. I need 3 references from each of you, I told David as he inked TechVision's deal. He laughed heartily. You're negotiating against yourself. We're the ones who came to you. Standards don't bend, I said with a smile. I build this right from the ground up. David obliged, texting 3 fellow CEOs who responded instantly with glowing endorsements. One more thing, I added, pushing my luck but knowing it was essential. My hours are 9 to 3 Monday through Friday. Evening calls require 48 hours notice. Weekends are sacred, for mom, for family. No exceptions. Someone in the group noted, that's only about 30 hours a week. And I'll deliver results that outshine any 60-hour grind, I countered confidently. It's quality over quantity, always has been. David signed without flinching, his smile approving. Your terms should be the industry norm, Paisley. You're setting a new standard here. Morrison Industries and Jacobson Tech followed suit, agreeing to my core must-haves: full remote flexibility, protected caregiving time, complete strategic control. Emily's dad watched in awe. You're redefining consulting right here, live at a wedding. Not redefining, I corrected gently. Just making it overdue. The world catching up to what should have been. As Jake and Emily swayed to At Last by Etta James, the band's soulful rendition filling the air, I watched them with a full heart. Their love was pure, untainted by the corporate rat race I'd once been trapped in. Made me reflect on the school plays I'd missed, the bedtime stories delegated to their dad while I chased deadlines in a fluorescent-lit office. No more regrets like that. My new life would balance it all. David appeared beside me again, his glass in hand. Sandra's role at TechVision needs filling fast. Any suggestions? I thought of Jennifer Liu's quiet integrity, of Alex's dad denied leave, of all the victims of Sandra's reign. Promote from within, I advised. Someone who's endured the toxic culture and is hungry for change. Jennifer Liu would be my top pick. She's got the empathy and the smarts. Consider it done, David said, making a note on his phone. The band ramped up the tempo and the dance floor exploded with energy. I slipped outside for a breath of fresh air, the October night crisp and invigorating, stars piercing through the faint glow of Long Island's lights. My phone vibrated incessantly, 17 missed calls from Sandra. I deleted them all without a second thought. Tomorrow I'd file the LLC papers for Irwin Strategic. Tonight I'd dance at my son's wedding, call mom to recount the highlights and bask in this rebirth. It wasn't just a marriage being celebrated, it was a new era for me. Sandra had called me unemployable. By Monday I'd be her former company's top consultant. Sometimes the sweetest revenge is simply succeeding beyond their wildest imaginations. Monday morning arrived with a buzz of energy I hadn't felt in 6 long months of uncertainty. Instead of the grueling Manhattan commute I'd endured for years, crowded subways, honking taxis, the relentless pace, I set up my laptop at Mom's cozy kitchen table. The room smelled of fresh coffee and the faint medicinal tang from her oxygen machine, which hummed softly in the background like a loyal companion. Sunlight streamed through the lace curtains, casting warm patterns on the worn wooden floor. By 9 a.m., after helping Mom with her breakfast and medications, Irwin Strategic Consulting was officially incorporated via an online filing, quick, efficient, and exhilarating. By noon, the contracts from the wedding were reviewed, signed digitally, and deposits had hit my new business account. TechVision's $2 million wire transfer arrived as I spoon-fed Mom her lunch, a simple soup she'd always loved. She squeezed my hand weakly, her skin papery but warm. 6 months ago, you had it all, the title, the salary, the prestige, she said, her voice a whisper. Now you have what truly matters: freedom, family, purpose. The industry grapevine was already alive with chatter. My LinkedIn profile exploded. Hundreds of connection requests, congratulatory messages, and client inquiries pouring in like a digital tidal wave. 3 prominent business journals reached out for interviews, eager to capture the story of this unconventional launch. Forbes even pitched a feature on compassionate consulting, how one woman's stand at a wedding sparked a revolution. Meanwhile, Sandra's firing made subtle headlines in tech circles. TechVision issued a press release about a strategic restructure to better align with our core values of inclusivity and employee well-being. Jennifer Liu, promoted to interim HR director as I'd suggested, called me that afternoon. First order of business, she said excitedly over the phone, implementing your family-first policies. Unlimited caregiving leave, fully flexible hours, comprehensive mental health support, everything Sandra had blocked for years. The team's morale is already skyrocketing. Jake called during my lunch break, his voice bubbling with enthusiasm. Mom, you're a legend at the office. Saturday's events are still the hot topic. People can't stop talking about it. 3 more companies have asked for your contact info already. I'm booked solid for a year at this rate, I laughed. I'll have to start a wait list. That afternoon, while Mom napped in her recliner, the soft rise and fall of her chest a soothing rhythm, I dove into my first deliverable for TechVision, a comprehensive culture audit report. I didn't sugarcoat it. Their environment was riddled with toxicity, their messaging felt inauthentic, and retention rates were abysmal. Sandra had been a symptom of deeper issues, not the root cause. During our video call later that day, I laid it out for David. This transformation will take at least 18 months, I explained, sharing my screen with charts and data visualizations. Leadership has to own the problems fully, no finger-pointing. Do whatever it takes, he replied resolutely. Saturday was a wake-up call for all of us. If we've harbored leaders like Sandra, what does that say about our blind spots? By Friday, Irwin Strategic had grown its team to 6 exceptional employees, all remote, all fellow caregivers or parents who'd been sidelined by inflexible corporate structures. We were a powerhouse of talent, marketing gurus, HR specialists, strategy whizzes. Our virtual meetings were held during school hours, efficient and focused, allowing everyone to crush their workloads and still attend soccer practices or doctor appointments. First-month revenue surpassed my old annual salary at my previous job, a testament to the power of aligned values. But the real victory? I didn't miss a single moment with Mom. Her tough days when pain clouded her eyes, her clear moments filled with stories from our childhood, her fears whispered in the quiet hours, her peaceful smiles as she watched birds from the window. Those were priceless. During our Friday team check-in, my assistant, a sharp single dad named Mike, mentioned offhandedly, Sandra applied for one of our open positions. I know, I said calmly. I forwarded her resume to a competitor. Everyone deserves a second chance, just not on my team. Boundaries, the crucial lesson Sandra had never learned, but one I now enforced with grace. 3 months flew by in a blur of growth and gratitude. I found myself in Mom's hospice room one crisp winter afternoon, my laptop balanced on the bedside table amid the beeps of monitors and the soft scent of fresh linens. She was having a good day, alert and engaged, as I ran a virtual board meeting for Morrison Industries. Third-quarter projections are beating expectations by 40%, I told the 12 executives on the call, my voice professional and assured as I shared my screen. The campaign succeeded because it was authentic. We highlighted real employee stories, not polished corporate fluff. How did you uncover those stories? The CEO asked, intrigued. I listened, I replied simply. Something my sister never quite mastered. After the meeting wrapped, I closed the laptop and held Mom's hand as she dozed, her breathing even. The hospice nurse, whose services my new earnings fully funded, adjusted her medications with gentle expertise. Every dollar I earned translated to better care for her, more comfort, more dignity in these final days. My phone buzzed with an unexpected email from Sandra. Paisley, you won't reply, and I don't blame you. I was wrong, jealous, insecure, cruel. Losing everything forced me to see what you always knew. Success without family is hollow. I'm at a small firm now, entry level, rebuilding from scratch. Your referral got me the job. Thank you for the grace I didn't earn. Mom's proud of you. You chose love over everything. Sandra. I didn't respond, but I archived the email, a small step toward possible forgiveness. Trust, however, was shattered beyond repair. That evening, Jake and Emily arrived with a stack of wedding photos, their faces beaming as they spread them across the bed. The reception shots captured the drama perfectly. Sandra's shocked expression frozen in time, David's commanding presence during his revelations, my quiet triumph in every frame. The best images, though, were the candid ones later, our family minus Sandra laughing together, united. No regrets, Mom? Jake asked, watching me closely as I lingered on a photo of us hugging. None at all, I said truthfully. I've got my company on my terms, wealth building steadily, and every precious day with Grandma. Sandra's cruelty was the catalyst. I stopped playing small because of it. 2 weeks later, Mom passed peacefully, her hand in mine. I was there for every last breath, every whispered word, because I'd chosen to be. No urgent deal or late-night meeting pulled me away. At her funeral, a simple service in our hometown church with autumn leaves swirling outside, Sandra sat in the back row, her face drawn and remorseful. Our eyes met once across the pews. I nodded in acknowledgement, nothing more. Forgiveness might come in time, but she'd forfeited her place in our family when she'd tried to dismantle it. Yet life pressed on, and so did my work. Mom's medical bills were settled in full. Jake's student loans vanished with a single transfer. Emily's parents' struggling small business received a silent investment to keep it afloat. Success wasn't merely revenge. It was a way to honor Mom's lifelong sacrifices, even extending quiet mercy to the daughter who'd strayed so far. A full year after the wedding, Irwin Strategic had expanded dramatically, leasing 3 floors in a sleek Manhattan high-rise. I never set foot there. My team of 42 remote professionals handled operations seamlessly while I worked from my sunny home office, overlooking the garden I'd planted in Mom's memory, vibrant with her favorite roses and herbs. The firm valuation hit $30 million, with a 2-year waitlist for new clients. Harvard Business School even developed a case study on our model, values-driven consulting, from wedding toast to industry disruptor. Quiet wins, though, were the most powerful. Jennifer Liu called one day, ecstatic. TechVision's employee satisfaction scores have soared 60% since implementing your recommendations. Turnover's down, productivity's up, it's transformative. The 3 single moms on my team could now afford premium childcare, thanks to our flexible hours and competitive pay. Jake confided over dinner. I'm proud to carry the Irwin name, Mom. You've shown me what real success looks like. During a Monday video call, my COO flagged an issue. Sandra Morrison, she's now VP at her new firm. And get this, they won't hire us. I leaned back in my chair, contemplating. Sandra had clawed her way up through sheer determination. No shortcuts, no manipulations this time. She'd even started a blog on personal redemption, amassing a modest following without ever naming me directly, referring only to the sister who taught me everything through her example. Take the meeting, I decided. But I won't oversee the account personally. I reviewed the recording later. Sandra appeared polished and professional, her old arrogance replaced by humility. When asked about addressing toxic cultures, she said earnestly, I learned the hard way, bad leadership doesn't just break careers, it fractures families. We have to do better. We accepted the contract, not for her sake, but for the employees who deserved a healthier workplace. Ironically, it included our signature family-first policies, which Sandra endorsed without reservation. Growth, it seemed, could come even from the unlikeliest sources. 6 months on, at Jake and Emily's intimate baby announcement dinner, surrounded by close family, laughter, and the promise of new life, Sandra wasn't invited. She sent a thoughtful gift and a note. Congrats on the little one. I'm respecting the boundaries I should have honored from the beginning. Love S. It was perhaps her first truly right move in years. Miss her? Jake asked softly, noticing me reread the card. I miss who she could have been, I admitted. Not the person she became. That night, alone in my office, I drafted an email I'd never send. Sandra, your cruelty shattered illusions and forced me to break free from rules designed for women who prioritize profit over family. You thought you'd exposed my weakness, but you illuminated my strength. Your harsh words were fuel, your insults, inspiration. Now I have it all: a thriving career, unbreakable flexibility, growing wealth, and the indelible memory of being fully present for Mom's final days. Can you claim the same? Success isn't about revenge, it's about living authentically. Thanks to you, I'm doing just that. I deleted the draft, but the lesson lingered like a guiding star. Some bridges must burn to illuminate the path forward. Tomorrow beckoned with 6 new client proposals to review, lunch with Jake to discuss baby names, and a visit to Mom's grave with fresh flowers. I'd lived the life Sandra had mocked, thriving in every dimension. The ultimate response to being dubbed a failure? Succeed so spectacularly that detractors become mere footnotes. Sandra? She was barely a comma in my expansive story. That's my tale, how my sister's vicious attack at my son's wedding blossomed into my greatest opportunity. If you've made it this far, you're incredible. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to catch more stories like this. Ever had a family member doubt your life choices or try to undermine you? Drop your experiences in the comments below. I'd love to hear them and maybe even feature a few in future videos. And if you want the scoop on how Sandra attempted to poach my top client and ended up blacklisted across the industry, that's a wild ride for another time. Let me know if you're interested. Remember, your worth isn't defined by your job title. It's in the lives you impact and the courageous choices you make when it matters most. See you in the next one.